A lot of love. Of course, Micah Cat is Mia Micah in the Twitch chat if you want to give him some support. He is currently waiting in the grand finals of our weekly Grand Platypus Open number 54. And we are about to find out who will face him.
Is it going to be the Protoss player, the young buck known as StarDuck? Or is it going to be the Zerg player, I'm trying to find something that rhymes with Joey, but I really can't. As we start the semifinals on Lightshade LE here in the top left-hand corner map, starting all the way in the top left-hand corner, the blue Protoss player coming down from the land of Sydney Harbor. He is representing Team Fight for Justice. He is the man, the myth, the legend himself, the legendary Duck of the Stars, who don't need no truck, StarDuck.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Lightshade LE, we have the red Zerg player hailing from the land of Hong Kong, currently teamless, but still an insanely strong player here in our weekly tournament series. It is GogojOey.
Never know what's in store when these two players face each other. We've seen it a couple of times in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Both GogojOey playing Protoss, so we had them in the PvP, but also in the straight-up match, which was pretty close. I think that was StarDuck's second ever finals in the Grand Platypus Open. Beat GogojOey in a PvZ.
Yeah, like they have had some pretty like back and forth series in the past. Of course, as you were saying, StarDuck is the rising star. Some people may recognize him. He was just in the Twitch chat. StarDuck, we've known him for years now. We first featured him on this channel back in 2018. He was playing in our amateur events as we run Bronze to Diamond tournaments.
He was a Zerg player.
Yeah, as we run Bronze to Diamond tournaments every single Friday, and he was there. He was one of them. He was Diamond back in the day, eventually switching over to Protoss, which of course then he played in our Masters events, and now he has grown to the point where he is playing amongst the best in our region, amongst all the GMs here in 2021. He of course hit GM last year in 2020, and he's just looking to improve more and more.
Thanks for taking him out.
Yeah. The big one was, of course, I believe a couple of weeks ago, he took down Beastork in a best of 3, which was huge for him in the semifinals. We'll see if he can do something similar here to his Hong Kong brethren.
Yeah, he's already done so at least once in the past. Just needs to keep that up.
Yeah, he hasn't won a series against GogojOey, but he has taken a game.
Oh, I thought. Now he just needs to take a couple more. Yeah. And he's set for those finals.
Oh boy, and we'll see how he can do again.
We're gonna be on the lookout.
Yeah. So we do see a Stargate opening coming out from StarDuck, which again has become very common here in this matchup. It's become the new standard.
Yeah, I don't think we expected anything different. Well, maybe from StarDuck we might expect a glaive build every now and then, but yeah. Stargate still the safest opening you can go for as a Protoss player without sacrificing too much. And more importantly, it keeps your Zerg opponent from you scouting you, so they don't have a lot of opportunity to scout your transition.
Yeah, and StarDuck, he isn't afraid to cannon rush either. It was a couple of weeks ago he faced Mia Micah in the finals and he cannon rushed him.
Unfortunately, that was the game Mia Micah decided to go for. What is it, Nidus, I believe?
Yeah. It didn't work out for StarDuck. But again, like as weeks go by, StarDuck continues to improve, and he's going up here against GogojOey. I didn't get to mention too much about it, but GogojOey, he is the second highest performer here in Grand Platypus Open, just behind Mia Micah, one of the best Zerg players in this region. Oof. So he's slated to go to the finals. But can StarDuck stop him?
I think he really can. But for now, we'll see StarDuck transitioning into a double Stargate build, which I'm really liking, considering that GogojOey is going for roaches.
Yeah, definitely. Like with double Stargate, StarDuck should be pumping out Void Rays, and with those Void Rays, he should be perfectly fine against these roaches from GogojOey. We have seen time and time again recently, especially against Pez, GogojOey has become fond of Roach Ravager Ling Bane. That's kind of like been his go-to. But we'll see how he does against Stargate play, because Pez, he's more fond of his Glaive Adepts.
Really is. And StarDuck, he is a very different player from Pez. I mean, what would I say is the main difference between the two? I have to wonder.
One's from Sydney, one's from Melbourne.
There we go. All you need to know.
Oh god.
If I learned anything from watching Australian YouTubers, it's a culture shock.
Sure, question mark. I mean, we'll see what happens here in this series, because GogojOey, he's committing to the roaches, by the way. Like, he scouted both Void Rays and he's just going for roach speed.
Yeah, maybe he's thinking he can, try to hit at a timing where, he's gonna be able to. What's the word I'm thinking of? Just before StarDuck gets too many Void Rays out, he might decide to go for a bit of a Warsaw subway here. If he goes for Nidus, I kind of feel like German Taxi is a little too late.
Yeah, I mean,
which is why he decided to get Hydras.
Exactly. Like, I was quickly checking the queen count, and he only had his creeping queens, like, as in 2 queens to creep, and then the injecting ones. I was like, this is kind of odd. So we do see the Hydralisk Den is on the way. Meanwhile, StarDuck, I was actually speaking to StarDuck briefly about this yesterday, or the day before yesterday. If you recall, Yaku, this week we casted Solar versus Stats in ESL Open Cup Asia.
We did.
And I was talking to StarDuck about how Stats, like almost every game towards the end, he was going double Stargate into Disruptors.
He took it to heart. He watched that VOD. And now he's gonna hashtag play like Stats. So that's the other main difference between StarDuck and Pez.
StarDuck
he takes
watches
inspiration from Zest. That as well. I was gonna say Pez takes inspiration from Zest, StarDuck takes inspiration from Stats, but yeah, it's also a pretty good point.
There we go. So this is a very interesting take, right? Because you just mentioned it. The Zest way of doing things is to go charge lot Storm, right? That's like the standard thing to do.
Archons.
But you're gonna...
Because I was gonna elaborate on that. I was gonna say that charge lot Storm Archon. It's a little safer, I want to say. The charge shots provide enough of a buffer for your storms to hit, but storms aren't that effective against Roach Ravager. Now, Disruptors, they're definitely a lot more exposed. You don't have as much of a buffer for them, unless you want to count Void Rays with Prismatic Alignment. But they just sort of blow up holes in the Protoss, not the Protoss army, sorry, the Zerg army.
Yeah, and when it comes to like a more Roach Hydra heavy composition, which is exactly what GogojOey has, it's so much more difficult to split against Disruptor shots, unlike, a more Ling Bane heavy army where the Lings get on top of the Disruptors. And immediately GogojOey sees the army and turns around. He's like, nope.
I'm gonna mess with that. I know how far off creep I am.
I just love it. He face checks with a single Roach. He's like, I am not pushing into, like, look at this. Like, this is crazy.
There's a lot of shield batteries, yeah.
I love it.
If he overcharges one of them, it's gonna be hard to tell which one's overcharged.
This is a mixture of Zest and Stats. This is the army composition of Stats, but like the defensive position here of Zest. Because if you remember, Stats was like unwilling to throw down shield batteries, like defensively. Yeah. Meanwhile, StarDuck is not afraid.
That he is not. Well, he might be a little afraid. That's the static defense. But it's a wise kind of fear.
Yeah.
He knows that he's not, he knows that he can't overestimate himself here. He really needs to take this seriously, especially since he's against GogojOey.
Exactly.
Who will just take advantage of you being a little bit confident, thinking, okay, I can control my disruptors well enough. And GogojOey says, no, you cannot. I'm gonna dial it down.
And GogojOey is looking to try and catch the Void Rays on their own. There are no disruptors here to support them.
That there aren't, but thankfully StarDuck did not activate Prismatic Alignment. His Warrior is still fast enough to make it out of there. Not much of a Hydra count here for GogojOey, it seems.
Yeah, he doesn't
pretty much even split between Roaches and Hydras.
He committed heavily to the Roaches early on, and now he's stuck with the supply. He's maxed out, and this does not look like a maxed out army. Like, this has a lot of Roaches in there that he needs to get rid of.
He really does. He's starting to work on his tier 3 army now, grabbing that Lurker Den and getting a lot of Vipers. Is this too many Vipers on the single hatchery light?
It's okay. It's okay.
Not, okay.
I was about to say too many Vipers. This morning, I know there were a couple of people who were here this morning. We casted Jim Rising versus Parker Mike. Mate, Jim made 9 Vipers at a time.
Were they all sucking on a single hatchery?
They were, and you know what?
Really nice purification over here for StarDuck. GogojOey is probably fine with losing these Roaches like that. I mean, still, he wants to do some kind of damage when he loses them, right?
Exactly.
You don't want to just lose them free.
Yeah, you want to trade them out, but you don't want to donate them, essentially, to the Protoss. So we do see he is dealing with this stack defense. Meanwhile, at the same time, the rest of the army is trying to bust into the third base, but StarDuck is able to defend on both fronts. Ooh.
Nice pair of bombs here. But also a really good split from StarDuck. Also keep making sure that majority of his warriors are within shield battery range. It's interesting that GogojOey split up his army like this. Especially since this stubborn army doesn't... Oh, that was close for GogojOey.
Jesus Christ, that was very close. There was only a single disruptor here, so it looks like the rest of the army is going to have to defend. But StarDuck has to make sure he splits his army well.
And it's decent for now. A lot of Void Rays are starting to eat Hydralisk to the face, though. And GogojOey is... I mean, I don't know. He's getting damage done, but I feel like it could be more effective.
I mean, on 9 probes are going down. Like, this is honestly really nicely done. He was able to eventually bust through all the stack defense, but eventually StarDuck is going to clean that up, and then he can focus on the defense here on the right-hand side.
Indeed, he can. GogojOey needs to back out of here once he realizes the mothership is in play. I'm kind of surprised StarDuck went for the mothership. He has expressed some frustrations with that unit in the past.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting that they prioritized that. As all that was happening, of course, he was transitioning into the Fleet Beacon, but it was interesting that he decided to take into that and invest into that. Yeah.
Especially since he's up against Viper or Hydra.
Interesting decision. But it does, of course, you know, throw another like wrench in the works for GogojOey. He has to make sure he has detection if he wants to fight the army. But what I will say is that eventually I feel like StarDuck will have to incorporate some High Templar, like Storm are always invaluable against Hydras, and the Roaches, they've come and they've gone.
Yeah, you can't be relying solely on Sky Toss. As much as it is a bit of a meme, you do have a couple of AoE units on the ground, like Disruptors and like High Templar, as you said.
Yeah, definitely, and we'll see if StarDuck has enough here. It's a little bit difficult to tell, but he does still have Disruptors. There's some decent shots, but there's still so many Hydras here.
Yeah, there are. GogojOey doing a really good job of splitting off creep, funnily enough. He'll keep the majority of his Hydras alive. That was a good Nova, though, but that was a better pick-off here for GogojOey, getting that mothership. I don't think he has a lot of staying power, though. The Purification Novas are looking pretty good.
The problem is, like, there aren't enough carriers. There are, like, what, 2 carriers here with this main army? There is not enough to go toe-to-toe with the Hydras, and it looks like the Nexus goes down.
That it will. The Parasitic Bomb is hurting so much here for StarDuck. Shield battery's just about completely out of energy.
Yeah, and with that, GogojOey was able to just push StarDuck back, forcing him back onto 3 bases.
Meanwhile, GogojOey getting nice and comfortable up on 6 bases, it looks like. It could be 7. No, it's 6 bases.
Yeah, and StarDuck just hasn't been able to go across the map. Like, to be fair, like, if you're a Protoss player, you want to wait until you have, like, a solid Skytoss army, and then you push out. But he's just been struggling to get there, but he's close. He's so very close to maxing out. And finally, there we have it. Storm is on the way, and that's so valuable, not just for the Storm, but, like, High Templar for feedback, to get rid of or deal with those Vipers.
Indeed, it's very much it's almost like an old-timey pistol duel. Who's gonna shoot first? Is it the High Templar, the feedbacks, or is it the Vipers of the yoinks?
Or is it Solo?
Bomb, depending. Solo?
Huh? He shoots first.
Drink? Ah! It's like, who's Solo, yeah.
Hoi solo.
Yeah, Vietnamese player.
There you go. Speaking of, he is not here, but GogojOey is here and does dodge the disruptors.
Yeah, only 2 disruptors for the time being. Pretty good yoink here for GogojOey. But those carriers are starting to get more and more interceptors. The High Templar should just about have enough for Storm. Yup, he should have with Storm. There are 3 more left here for StarDuck. And doing a really good job of just deterring GogojOey. He's actually losing quite a number of supply, GogojOey is.
Yeah.
And he can't push in this.
He's slowly being chipped away. We have a bit of a run by of Zells. They do take out a couple of Hydras as well. As time goes on, these High Templar have more and more energy for those storms.
Now, GogojOey did go for an Ultra Cavern earlier on, trying to get those ground units, just, you know, bum rush him, but hasn't made any Ultras yet. Is working on it, though, getting some kindness plating.
Yeah, I mean, he has a massive bank, so he is trying to tech up in every which way, right? We have the Ultra Cavern, we have a Spire on the way as well, so he's not neglecting the opportunity to switch into Corruptors. That is something that some Zerg players neglect. Of course, some of them are really stubborn, like Solar, who stay on Queens for anti-air, or like Jim, earlier today, stayed on Hydras for anti-air, and eventually you want to throw some variety in there and actually get those Corruptors out and eventually completely switch out of Hydras. And we see GogojOey is starting to do so.
Yeah, very nice and adaptable here. I'm kind of curious here, Light. What do you think of GogojOey going for Infestors? Because when I see this many Hydras out on the map versus Skytoss like this, I say, what's on the next stage in my mind would be get some Microbial Shroud out, right? Pull a Rogue.
It could work. I will say that Broodlord Infestor against Skytoss in the late game has made a little bit of a resurgence, and we could see that later on. Ooh, the Void Rays, they are getting caught out.
And immediately taken out here for the Corruptors. It's really important to keep these Void Rays alive as GogojOey switches into Corruptors over Hydras here. Otherwise, you're just leaving your carriers very vulnerable.
Yeah, and this first map feels really rough for StarDuck because this isn't like Romanticide. Like, a lot of these spaces feel very kind of exposed.
Isolated,
and isolated. That's a good word for it, because StarDuck, his main army is here to the north. He doesn't really have much in position, and he's forced to cancel his base.
Once again, GogojOey just winning the economic battle. Well, for now he is. StarDuck starting to accrue a bank. That's about as much as GogojOey.
Yeah, I mean, what's a little bit scary is that here at this base, StarDuck, he hasn't rebuilt the stack defense, and I feel like that's pretty key when it comes to defending these bases. GogojOey is being very annoying, spreading creep here, not allowing StarDuck to expand to the north, where I feel like that's probably where he wants to go eventually. We'll
probably catch it out here. Oh no, they will take out the Warp Prism. And we were saying it for a while, like, there needed to be some way for StarDuck to have some harass. They just keep GogojOey from getting this bank up. That was pretty much it. That Warp Prism.
Yeah, exactly. And ooh, nice feedbacks. Nice Storm as well.
Oh, GogojOey starting to lose a lot of supply over here. Loses every single one of the Vipers.
Yeah, and
get a lot of her in the hole. He's starting to reinforce with Ultras, though.
That he is, which is a little bit terrifying for everything on the ground, for all these High Templar. They're so vulnerable, so exposed to those Thors once they come. Sorry, Ultras once they come out.
Yeah, well, I've always said their Ultras are kind of like the Thors of Zerg, so kind of.
In a way, I'm also very surprised StarDuck was able to defend at home with just pure stack defense. I was worried that his newest base will be under threat, but he did defend beautifully, and now he is finally out on the map, looking to push in to the bases of GogojOey.
And it's looking very potent at the moment. The Storm Slide! GogojOey, you gotta pull away! Just like that, in a blink of an eye, GogojOey supply plummets.
Oh god, but now the Ultras are finally out. The big boys are here, and oh my god, the High Templar, they're slowly going to be pounced upon. The Ultras are going in.
They are starting to go in. The Void Rays don't have enough DPS over here. The Templar have been dealt with, but now what's left for GogojOey to clean this up? He has not as many Corruptors as he'd like. Still has a very healthy Hydra count, though. Interceptors have just about been dealt with, thanks to the Spores and the Hydras. And neither player really has an advantage at the moment.
Yeah,
I will
exactly.
say GogojOey is slightly ahead economy-wise, but he's just spent his entire bank.
The problem
he
is
doesn't have an arm as good of an army.
the problem is that GogojOey, he pushed out and he fought really well and he traded with the army, but he didn't kill a single hatchery. He didn't deal any kind of economic damage. GogojOey was able to hold on to every single one of his bases. So because of that, I would agree and say that GogojOey, he came out of that a little bit ahead here, but we'll see as round 2 is about to start.
That it is a Storm Sheer Light. Once again, Corrupt is getting caught in the crossfire. Ultras do pounce on the High Templar, but I feel like it's a little too late. There are still Corruptors over here, but they're having their hands full with the toy race. GG is called. StarDuck gonna be taking game number 1 after such very, very patient play. Take a page out of old mate stats.
Wow, GG. StarDuck takes the lead in this series against the best player in Hong Kong. A dominant player, a player who just decimated last week. Pez just, he struggled so much against GogojOey, but here StarDuck is going toe-to-toe and taking a lead in this series.
That x-axis, you know, StarDuck and Sats, confirmed, greater than the z-axis, Pez and Zest.
Oh god, for now anyway, for now. GG, well played. StarDuck, he's up 1-0. Can he close it out? He's so close, but again, like, we can't count out GogojOey. GogojOey is such a dominant force in this region, one of the Zerg players who is a part of that Bermuda Triangle in the Southeast Asia Sea.
And some Bermuda Triangle, yeah. But you know what, StarDuck, he figured it out. He figured if you fly at a high enough altitude with your carriers, you don't get sucked in.
You don't. You can avoid it.
Archon toilet ain't a thing anymore.
Not anymore. My god.
Well,
what?
I guess it was... I guess it's not... You didn't really see Archon toilet in PvZ, did you? I just mean the what's it called? The mothership
Vortex
ability that they used to have. Vortex! Without Lamb, yeah.
There you go.
Here we are. As our next map has been decided on, GogojOey going for Jagannatha.
I'll make the lobby and get everyone in here. Here.
I forgot.
It's okay.
My brain's not out about this.
It's all good. It's mate. It's on
Lunar
autopilot.
New Year.
It's mate. I'm hype as fuck right now, mate. Look, StarDuck. He's like, he's
doing it.
He's adding another name to the list.
He's
you
getting
know?
close.
Like
He's one game away from taking him out.
Exactly. And GogojOey, he's such a good player.
Second highest rated Grand Platypus Open player throughout 2020, and I would say even right now, he's probably still the second highest rated player, as Demi taking a bit of a hiatus to focus on uni.
Definitely. Like GogojOey, he's so good, but StarDuck is making a name for himself. For those who are wondering, I gotta talk my boy up. StarDuck, he finished high school last year. He's 19 years old. He's a rising star, a rising duck, if you will, here on this channel. Mate, here he is.
StarDuck is my grandson.
He's older than you.
That's what I'm gonna say. What? What?
God damn it.
What?
I think you're older than him by like a couple of months.
What?
Shaking my head.
In 2001, I think.
Uh-huh.
I think. Could be wrong. He's my grandson or my grandnephew, one of those two. As we continue on here to Jagannatha LE. We're spotting here in the bottom left-hand corner map, spotting all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. The blue Protoss player coming down from the Sydney Harbour. He is the man himself, flying high in that meteoric rise. He's so far up there. He's in the stars, representing Fight for Justice. He is StarDuck.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Jagannatha LE, we have the best player in all of Hong Kong, the Red Zerg. He is currently teamless. It is GogojOey.
Mate.
Here we go. Shout out to Miyamika in the chat, tuning in, looking at his competition. You know, he will face the winner of this series.
Keeping them in his pelican pouch. His notes, I mean.
I can see it now. Miyamika, he's planning, he's looking, and he's seeing what he could do differently. He's like, mate, the hell? Why didn't you go meet us?
I can imagine one of those. I can imagine a drawing of Miyamika that's like one of those. What's it called? You know what I'm talking about? One of those graphics in the sort of webcomic style, where he's just like has his fingers together. He has his glasses are blocked. You know, there's a light blockage. You know what
anime
I mean?
Style.
I guess it's not, yeah, anime style. And he's just got a smile on his face, applauding. His hair is stood up like horns.
He knows what he has planned for the finals. He does. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Again, like, that was only game number 1. I'm sure StarDuck is going to want to repeat to how that turned out, but GogojOey is such a good player, and I'm sure he's looking to adapt to that style. We were talking about it earlier. In game 1, GogojOey, he committed a lot to roaches, and they really didn't do much at all.
Yeah, so we're going to be waiting to see how GogojOey switches things up here. I would say that obviously we talk about the big 4 players, Zerg players from the region. The Bermuda Triangle, and of course the shark that patrols that waters. I would say that GogojOey is probably the most adaptable of those 4.
Oh yeah.
Like, Miyamika will switch things up a lot, but it's mostly out of his own initiative, right?
Exactly.
GogojOey is more of the type to say, okay, this is what you're doing in game number 1. I'm going to adapt to your style in game number 2, scout you out a bit more, and react to what you're doing.
For sure. And when it comes to what StarDuck will do, like, again, he did play around with that stat style going for the disruptors, but that isn't what he has to do. Like, he can still play a little bit more like this. He can open up with Storm instead, or go into Glaive Adepts.
Which I'm personally kind of hoping for. He's only got a single Stargate at the moment. Actually going for an Oracle this time, so yeah. Continuing to take pages out of stats. But, you know, from a different chapter that he wrote.
From a different chapter of that book. I believe it's
Power
the
of
sequel.
Oracle Micro.
Yeah, it's the sequel to the book that Rain wrote.
Probably.
Oh, and there it is. 1 Stargate straight into a Twilight Council.
With a Forge Light. I'm hoping it's Quick Charge, which, again, it's most likely to come up from the Protoss player here. It's the most effective upgrade you can sort of get in the PvZ, but let's not count out the possibility of +1 glaives here. If he wants to be, you know, just a little bit more annoying against GogojOey. Might even go for Blink. You don't see that as often now in PvZ, but
yeah, you do see
it's not a terrible move.
Yeah, you do see Blink Stalkers with +1 every now and then. It was a lot more popular towards the end of last year. I say the end, maybe around like September, October. But we do see it is a little bit more standard. It is a charge with +1.
The good old reliable. A ton more gates being thrown down here for StarDuck. GogojOey might see this. I think he just sees the Forge.
Yeah. He saw the Forge. He saw it being researching and being chronoed. He also saw the Twilight Council. So GogojOey was able to gather that information. And now this time, those roaches, they would come in handy if he had a roach warrant.
If he did, then say he's going straight for the Hydra, then anticipating StarDuck to play the same style. Is going for a quick Baneling Nest, though, which is absolutely what you want against these Chargelets. I am worried about the Archons that StarDuck is going to have with his Temple Archives.
Definitely. So StarDuck is going for a more Chargelot Archon composition, but as you said, like, without roaches, the next best thing, or maybe even a greater thing, depending on how you look at it, is that Baneling Nest to help buffer for those Hydras. The Baneling connection is going to be so key on those Chargelots.
And let's also not underestimate the attack paths here on Jagannatha. I mean, I'm just looking at, say, the speed zone, where there are, 4 points of entry here?
Oh boy.
Like, to be fair, 3 of them are up a ramp, but even still, it's very easy to get surrounded if you're, if you're not keeping vigilant of where the Zerg army's at.
Definitely. Ooh, so Again, it's going to be really dangerous for whenever StarDuck does move out, and we see now that he has the War Prism, he's doing exactly that, and he immediately gets spotted by Ling.
How is GogojOey gonna react? He has a pretty exposed fourth base over here, but he is sending every single one of his units here to defend against it. 6 more gateways gonna be finishing up just in time for this for StarDuck, and he's got plenty of supply. He's gonna be warping in a heck of a lot of units.
That he will, but again, it's going to be all about those Baneling connections. How good is the control going to be for StarDuck to avoid those Banelings? We'll find out. He's pushing in. There's just so much Zerg here.
The Banelings don't quite have speed yet, but as you said, there just should be enough of them to just connect on top of the Chargelets. Beautiful stasis wards over here. And now GogojOey is so far off a creep. The Chargelets are no longer at any point of a threat here for the Banelings.
Exactly.
I'm so impressed with StarDuck.
Yeah.
Retreated right at the correct moment.
Those stasis wards were insane for StarDuck, taking out the majority of those Lings. Without those Lings, GogojOey couldn't chase and surround that army, and now, finally, the stasis ward has worn out. But StarDuck now has the defender's advantage, immediately throws down those shield batteries.
Huh. What a swing in the attack dynamics here.
Oh boy, and the scary part about this is that GogojOey doesn't have to push into the third. That's where the stack defense is being thrown down, but he could just opt to go for the natural instead.
Yeah, plenty of options available for him, but I'm not convinced that this is the most effective way to split up his army. Ooh, GogojOey trying to go for a flank here with the Banelings. And that's a lot of juicy gateway units, instead going straight for the mineral line.
Oh my god, and all the charges go down. Only a handful of probes, but he does end up depowering the production. At the same time, the charges are getting on top of the Hydras.
Chasing them down. That was all of the Banelings used up there. These charges have nothing to fear from Hydras. StarDuck has so much initiative, and he's pushing it all the way back. He has basically twice the army supply of GogojOey, and
exactly.
That's the last thing you want to see as Zerg player.
We do have a couple of Banelings being morphed in here by GogojOey, but that is all he has, and now that they are all gone, what is there really left for GogojOey? Okay, he's morphing in more Banelings, but there are just so many Archons.
Couple of Queens, maybe.
A couple of Queens are spying.
And I think this game has really shown that GogojOey's quote-unquote adaptability is kind of a double-edged sword. He anticipated StarDuck to play the same style as game number 1. He worked on countering that, but StarDuck, he has plenty of playstyles. GG's call! StarDuck taking out GogojOey. He's got another notch in his belt. And that was a 2-0.
Wow! GG, well played. This time, it was not an off-race series. The last time that StarDuck was able to take out GogojOey was when GogojOey played Protoss, you know, at the end of last year. We had a little bit of fun. But now, he has done it. He has taken down the Joey from Hong Kong 2-0.
He's flying at way too high an altitude. That Bermuda Triangle, the sea level, it's pretty flat. StarDuck, he says, you know, just go over it.
Yeah, just aim for the stars, mate. That's all you gotta do. Soar like a goddamn duck.
Yeah, aim for the stars. If you fail, you end up on the moon. Or is it the other way around? Aim for the moon, and if you miss, then you're in the stars somewhere. Listen. StarDuck is going to the finals. We are having a PvZ. And man, what a rematch.
What a rematch. For those wondering, StarDuck and Miyamika have faced in the finals in the past. They've faced in, you know, regular series as well in the past. And Miyamika has had that advantage. But this is a brand new StarDuck. He has been practicing. He has been training. He has ascended to a new level here. Is it enough to take out the best player in Vietnam, arguably the best Zerg player in Southeast Asia? That's a tough ask, especially because Miyamika is in the chat. He was watching the entire time.
So has StarDuck, to be fair.
True, very true. StarDuck watched the last series. Miyamika just watched this series.
Well, anything can really go here. We'll allow our players to, you know, compile their notes and come up with some strategies here. Stream will be going on a quick little 5-minute break.
Exactly. We will go on that 5-minute break. As a reminder, check out Matcherino, check out Patreon if you want to support this tournament as well. We do have a Patreon page which does fund this tournament series as well as the others that we do run. Of course, the Cranky Ducklings, we are live all the time. We bring you as much Southeast Asian and Oceanic StarCraft as we can, among other regions as well. But as you said, I need a break. So do the players. We're going to give them 5 minutes. Sit back and enjoy this duct tape.
It's a good one.